with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. It's time to look at these stories across the papers on the front pages this morning. Thank you for joining us anywhere you are. You can also watch us on Facebook and YouTube right now, and that's at Nigeria Info FM. And leave us your comments also on WhatsApp 08095975805. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM. And for the next few minutes, we'll be bringing you the top stories that find their way through the front of the pages. And we have the Guardian newspaper here, media partner. We also have the Nation, the Punch, and the Vanguard on this side of the table. And I am Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry. I have This Day newspaper right in front of me. Daily Sun is here, Daily Trust newspaper, Blueprint, and Daily Independent newspaper.
And Rotimi Sankore is here with us this morning. Rotimi, morning to you.
Morning.
Welcome.
If the days are looking confusing,
Yeah, I think now.
it may also be like that next week.
Yeah, so Bolao is away. Yeah, don't worry. Bolao is away. So I know you expect to hear Rotimi on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you might hear him more often for this week and for next week. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper. Protests against hate speech. Social media bills rock Abuja and Lagos. There are some riders on this one. Police assault reporter seize and later release camera. Senate won't force them on Nigerians, says Lawan, as Ekwesili urges women to resist passage. That's a story from the Guardian newspaper. It's also in The Nation. Knocks for hate speech bill as activists march on Senate. Can Onayeko affair to lawmakers kill the obnoxious bill? That's on the front page of The Nation. And it's also the Punch. Anti-hate speech, social media bills, protest rock National Assembly. You can see photos here. One of the very interesting captions reads, that's one of the placards with some of them sitting on the floor. And this placard reads, corruption is hate action. Prosecute hate actions. The Vanguard also has this. Almost all the papers have this today.
That's right. From the Daily Sun newspaper, it goes this way. Hate speech. Nobody can muzzle Nigerians. IBB is weighing in on this Daily Sun front page. Rider says death penalty crude.
Talking from experience.
Out of tune with modernity. Bill slide to dictatorship. Afe Babalola also weighing in on that. That's the front page of Daily Sun newspaper. Looking at the front page, of course, of this particular one, Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Protesters storm National Assembly over Shore, anti-hate speech bill, say Nigeria descending into dictatorship. Hate speech bill baseless, says IBB. U.S. lawmakers warn Buhari over harassing journalist activist. Daily Independent newspaper.
There was a report of a journalist that was arrested while taking photos of the shared protests in Abuja yesterday, but I learned he was later released by the end of yesterday. Well, but should he have been arrested in the first place?
He shouldn't have been arrested in the first place. But I think somebody, because he works for a global news agency.
Right.
And somebody must have just
That's Reuters,
called
by the
the
way.
Police, yes. Must have just called the police boss and said, come on.
This is not a local reporter.
At this point, you may mobilize the entire global media against the Buhari government. So
and there was something up here already from U.S. lawmakers warning the president over harassing journalists, and activists.
I think really the government needs to recalibrate itself.
What is the government scared of, Rotimi? It looks like there is this huge panic from the government.
Government is a complex machine. There is the president.
Right.
And the president's, what we call body language in Nigeria, often indicates to ministers, PAMSEC, spokespersons, security agencies, what is permissible by the president and what is not. I'm not talking of the law or constitution now.
Right. what they feel.
Yes,
the president-
what they feel. And for that reason, whoever is president always has to restate the belief in the rule of law, that law enforcement should obey the law,
Right.
that he or she, as president, will not tolerate any violation of rights.
And that will begin by setting the example.
Yes. So you set example, but you say, when the vice president was acting vice president,
We can't forget that in a hurry
yes,
now.
and the DSS, the then DSS chief, mobilized a section of his organization to go and seal off the National Assembly.
Wearing masks and
Yes.
looking all
And we have
gesticle.
to emphasize that it is a section, because even though if you are a police man or woman, you are a DSS man or woman, a group of you misbehave, the whole organization takes the can.
Right.
Anybody that understands the complexities of government or even the complexities of security organizations knows that there are factions, people have different thinking. There are people who are very professional. There are people who are yes men and women.
Right.
There are people who pander to the prejudices of leadership. There are people who just shake their head and say, this is not what we signed up for.
But once the boss takes a decision, it's
Yes.
the institution that's fingered.
But the point I'm making on this, is that if you listen to former senior officials of the DSS, for instance, you can tell those that believe more in rule of law. We've had one of them on this station previously, and people have also had him on other stations. Now, that kind of person, if that kind of person was still a director or deputy director, the chances are that there would be more respect for rule of law. And if you remember, even from the previous administration, this is not just a Buhari thing. Remember, from the previous administration, there was one lady who claimed she was spokesperson for DSS
Right.
and almost turned herself to Minister of Propaganda. Any small thing happens like this, she will start talking. Nobody asked her. She will start condemning media, So this is really something we need to pay attention to. But just to end on this particular point, when one of the most skillful military dictators the country, if not the continent, has ever seen, and I emphasize one of the most skillful, yes, in Ibrahim Babangida, when he starts putting out word of caution,
Right.
no, the present government is clearly on the losing side. Because what does that mean? It means the ruling elite is beginning to fracture. Because people like that, they know how to defend their legacy. They know when things are beginning to look bad for all of them.
I mean, undoubtedly.
And then they start extricating themselves from the
undoubtedly
matter.
they know.
Because
So
they know
this
that
looks
they've been
like
there.
this is like a move to say, I'm not dead there. I'm not. My hands are not in this one.
so
It's
If-
also, it could
if-
be an indication
if-
that he knows quite a lot about the move. Maybe this is just the beginning from
Look,
what he's saying.
if see, and I'm not talking hashtag revolution now. History has been full of different types of revolution. This is fact.
Right.
Some social, some cultural, some political, some economic, and so forth like that. Whenever the ruling elites, the more far-sighted ones, catch whiff of mass movement growing, the skillful ones,
Quickly.
to quote Babangida, step aside, which is what he did in June 12th.
Right.
He stepped aside very skillfully and let Abacha and co carry the can. And that is what he's doing now.
All right, let's talk about ASU and the federal government. They still have it rolling. IPPIS, this is a banner on the Punch. Federal government says lecturers are enrolling despite ASU's opposition. And they're saying we employed individuals, not unions. Government tells ASU on the front page of the Punch. The story is also in The Guardian. Students seal off Uniport's ASU secretariat, chase away officials. Reporters were also there, and they gave us info that the students seem to be protesting what they believe is an upcoming strike. Although the lecturers also said that they believe it's the school management that set them up with the students to protest and all. But ASU is still on the front pages.
It's here on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. No going back on IPPIS. Defiant ASU vows. That's on the front page of Blueprint, and on the front page of Daily Independent, IPPIS, ASU says no to going back on non-inclusion stand. Let's look at what the Blueprint has here. The academic staff union of the universities, ASU, stated that there was no going back on its stand on federal government integrated payroll and personnel information system, IPPIS. Its national president, Professor Abiodun Guyemi, told the news agency of Nigeria now on Wednesday in Lagos that there is nowhere in the world where such a development obtains. The federal government had recently directed the public sector workers, including universities, must be captured in the payroll system to save costs and fight corruption by blocking leakages in its salary payment structure.
Well, I mean, we've been through this matter before.
Over
I think it's up to ASU to explain themselves very clearly. And ASU says they have an alternative to the IPPS, which will capture the complexities of the university and academic system and also uphold the integrity of the payroll system. Well, let them produce it and let us make progress. But on principle, ASU is right about the federal government and academic freedom, because there is a reason why an agreement was signed decades ago, specifically to cover this kind of issues, And if anybody remembers, from the 70s, and that was when ASU started becoming alert to this kind of thing. When a lecturer or an academic writes a paper, gives a lecture, or talks in a way that is critical of a government or regime, the first thing they do is to fire the person, stop the person's pay, detain the person, and all those things do impact on academic freedom.
Absolutely.
And if governments then acquire the ability to be able to interfere in even small, minute details of things. I mean, the whole idea that there is corruption. Look, ASU members are not the ones running the universities. If there is corruption, the corruption is coming from the vice chancellors.
I think this is what I've been saying.
And the vice chancellors are appointees of the government.
ASU does not employ, neither do they pay salaries. It's a union.
So even when individual ASU members misbehave on various grounds, it is not ASU that misbehave.
Well, let's come to Lagos State, where the government has increased salaries of workers on levels 7 to 15. This is the front page of The Guardian. It's also on the Punch newspaper. Lagos begins minimum wage payment this month. Well, I think workers in Lagos will be excited now. It's also The Nation. Lagos will pay new wage this month. But the salary increase is on levels 7 to 15.
Yeah, that's right, because the minimum wage will capture the minimum from 30,000 naira. Consequential adjustment moves from there, but it's a good news for Lagos workers, Rotimi.
The increase is about 20 to 30% for grade level 5 to 15, while it was silent on the percentage increase for workers on grade levels 1 to 6.
Every extra penny take home helps, because as we know, average person by the 10th or 15th, they're already looking for ways to get to work and get back. So even the take-home pay cannot take you home, never mind other things. So every extra penny helps. But please, Lagos and other governments, a lot of these people now, they've either studied abroad, lived abroad, traveled, they even have kids studying abroad. Everybody knows that it is not your salary that is the determinant of prosperity.
Or how well you live.
It is just one factor. The key determinants of prosperity and human development are things like access to healthcare, housing, education, good transport system, affordable food. In every developed country, or in the most developed countries, how much you take home is not a determinant of the kind of health care you are going to get from the National Health Service.
Right.
If you have an accident.
Right.
True that.
So these are the things that we need to pay attention to. Once those things are sorted, to be honest, the question of salary will become, it will always be important, but it will not be the most important thing
on the table.
And if you look at the political elite, not only have they sorted their own housing problem, their healthcare problem, their transport problem,
they've taken care of
they've
themselves
sorted
for
everything. On top of that, they are getting their 10 or 20 million a month.
Right.
We'll be talking about that at 8 o'clock.
As
by the
current
way.
or serving governors, and if
Yeah.
they're in the Senate,
Right.
I mean, look at that rascally fellow in Zamfara.
Well, you can't say it was rascally. Remember,
Look.
he found a way to pass it into law just 2 months before leaving
Yes.
office.
And
Together
then,
with
and
the
then
they
went
all
to the
do
Senate.
that?
Then went off to the Senate and added 14 million
Right.
Yes,
to it.
Right.
and then well, join us at 8 o'clock
then
to
wrote a
talk
letter
about
back.
this. To say you've not paid me.
Very,
You're
very
owing
cheeky
me.
letter.
You're owing me.
Just 2 months.
Let me read some comments from Facebook. Rafael Adegoke says, I really don't know what is becoming of our democracy, or has it become like what the late Fela Kuti called demonstration of craziness? The government breaks court orders and now introducing draconian laws in a democratic republic. What about introducing death sentence for corrupt politicians? Of course, they won't pass that one into law. Festus Okundia here says that pirated bill on hate speech is dead on arrival. Well, he called it pirated because it was copied from Singapore. Says we have better things to copy. I think it says than to copy
That's how bankrupt
from
Nigerian ruling
Singapore.
class is.
It's really
They
bad.
couldn't even develop their own original.
Documents.
Yes.
Atonda Kayode says governance and government can't be a complex machine. Rotimi, and then he runs away. He puts a running away icon there. No time for Rotimi to reply you. Patrick Rule is joining us from Italy. Atonda Samuel says say no to hate speech bill. Okay, and Jimo Samuel Alekon says thank you, Mr. Rotimi. Only God and the awakening of Nigerians would save us from our leaders. Ejetav Judge says here in Delta State, the university staff, including academic, had during the Uduagan regime were captured by ICT. Similar to APPI, it's called that the Hackabella, and no one is complaining. It says ASU must have something to hide for resisting being captured. Some collect money left, right, and
Academic
center.
freedom is a global standard.
Well, we've had ASU here in the studio before. Let me take one from Twitter. Joy Forever here says, we are breeding tyranny and is getting clearer to the word. Hope our government will soft pedal and tour the path of peace. He also says ASU and federal government should resolve this issue amicably. Federal government should honor the agreement.
We need to go now. We're out of time. But
Just to
before
tell
then,
that guy quickly, not everybody in government is a criminal. And government is a complex machine.
right.
Let's leave it there.
Right.
because of our time.
Right, we have other airlines you can check out from the blueprint. You can look out for this one: 946,000 Katsina kids out of former school system. That's according to UNICEF. Federal government suspends 9 officers over in Kirikiri inmate. Over $1 million fraud. And from Daily Independence, federal government gets 48 hours for new bank guarantee to meet PNID's cost. These are other headlines, plus much more. Yeah, shut borders, uproar in ECOWAS Parliament. This is really causing some ripples in the ECOWAS Parliament.
We
as
predicted
ministers,
this one that they will come to
Yes,
close there.
yes.
Last.
Yeah, almost.
They
blows.
said ministers disagree over effect of closure on inflation. Benin failed to implement agreements with Nigeria, according to FG. Ghana, the Gambia plead for immediate reopening. Nigeria, they say, is a big brother of Africa.
And
I
so,
mean, yeah.
should well, guys, remember that right after this break, we're talking about pension laws for ex-governors, ex-deputy governors, speakers, deputy speakers, and all the monies that they are collecting after they leave office.
Legally and illegally.
Yeah, and you can tell us what you think about this. We'll tell you if your state also has these laws.
Not including
passed.
security vote.
No, not at all. Not
Security
at all.
vote is piggy bank.
So join us at 8 o'clock. You can start leaving us your messages on WhatsApp 08095975805 and Twitter at Nigeria Info FM. Rotimi, thank you.
Thank you.
We dragged him in on a Thursday, but he'll be here again tomorrow morning. Join us just after the break. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sharif Quadry.
Hello, my name is Ronke from Ikorodu.
Hi, I'm Emeka from Festa. My name is Ahmed from Apapa.
I want to tell you about my radio. My radio is my best.